Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. So that time of month again, it's time for our reading wrap up, and I'm going to go over everything that I read in January, including the year's first DNF. So let's get started. So the first book I read this year was Under Lock and Key by Lana Ferguson. I was very excited for this one, and she did not disappoint. I really enjoyed this one a lot. Once again, third act breakup. I hate them. I just really do. So that's what kept this from being like 5-star or anything for me. It was just the third act breakup, but it was really good. So it's about a woman who goes to Scotland to spread her recently deceased father's ashes in his hometown, and she meets with her estranged family from her father's side. Lot of conflict going on there, and there she meets Lachlan, who works on her family's farm, and they have a whole thing going. I don't want to give away too much, but this is a monster romance in Scotland. I think you can guess where it's going. I understand that a lot of people use the third act breakup as a way to add conflict into a story, but honestly, this book had enough. It didn't need it. It was completely unnecessary. It was just really annoying. Sorry, I know I harp on third act breakups nearly every single time there's one, but it's used too much, and most of the time it's not used, I think, like effectively. This is one of those examples. But other than that, absolutely loved this. Set in Scotland, love it. Monster romance, fun. Lana Ferguson, also fun. This was a good way to start the year though. So if you've seen my videos before, you can see that there's a giant Fourth Wing Iron Flame Onyx Storm hole right here in my bookshelf. That's because I finally read them. Yep, that's right. It's only taken me a few years, but I finally did it. And I wish I had read this sooner. 5 stars. Love this. Which I feel like is not that surprising, considering I feel like most people who have read this, it's like their 5-star or at least 4-star read. Though I have seen a few like 1-star DNFs on Goodreads and Storygraph, but it seems to be the minority. I feel like there's really nothing I can say about Fourth Wing that hasn't been said a million times. So I'm not going to go over it too much other than to say I love it. Xaden Ryerson is amazing. I want to get like one of the book lockets for this, like I do my Six of Crows one, and I want to get a picture of Xaden to put in that one. That's how much I love it. But yeah, there's really not much I feel like I can say that hasn't been said like a million times already, because this is like one of the huge big books on Book Talk and Booktube and all the other book related social media platforms. So I feel like I have nothing really new to say. My only small criticism, which wasn't really enough for me to knock it down a star or anything because everything else was so amazing, was that I did leave myself a little confused by a few things. Like, I can't think of any good examples without like giving away spoilers in case you were one of the few people who hasn't read it yet. But like, there's just a few things where I was just like, wait, what's going on? And I would have to like go back a little bit, or I would have to like actually like look it up online or something. It's like, I don't know. That might even just be a me thing though. I don't know. But like, it wasn't enough of a problem for me to knock it down from 5 stars, so not a big deal. So then the next one is Iron Flame, which I like just finished like literally this morning. I am really glad that I don't have to wait like a really long time before I can read Onyx Storm. Because I know like if I read this like when this came out like everyone else, I've been hanging off that cliffhanger for years. I'm so glad I don't have to worry about that. I can just go ahead and start Onyx Storm pretty soon. I lent my copy to a friend, so I just gotta wait for her to bring it back, and it's just gonna bring it back in a few days, so I don't have to wait that long. I think I like this one almost as much as Fourth Wing, but I think I did like Fourth Wing the most. And I'm not sure why. I can't put my finger on what makes this not as good as Fourth Wing. I really can't put my finger on it. Maybe it's because of Fourth Wing is like introduction to the series, and so it's like, ooh, new thing. Or it could be the fact that I binge read this so fast right after Fourth Wing, and so I was kind of like burnt out on it maybe. I'm not really sure, but I just did not like this one as much as Fourth Wing. I haven't decided if it's a big enough difference to make this 4.75 star rating or still keep a 5-star. I'm not sure yet. I honestly don't have like my whole method to my madness for star ratings down yet. And so it's kind of like all over the place. But still really enjoyed this. Really glad I picked this up. Whereas Fourth Wing, I wish I had read it sooner. This one, I am glad I read it when I did because I don't have to wait to deal with this cliffhanger like everyone else did. So next, I finished the Heartstopper series, and let me tell you, this is such a sweet little thing. Oh my gosh, they are so precious. They are so sweet. I want to just jump in the story and just protect them from the world. Like, I need to go and protect Charlie from the bullies. I need to go in and protect Nick from his evil brother. Sorry, that was a little more vehement than it needed to be, but gosh, his brother really angers me. But that's enough on that. I love these so much. Like it feels like a genuine love story and everything like that. It's just so sweet. I don't know. It's just really sweet. And then also the artwork is gorgeous, by the way. Show you a little bit of it. Because I love how, like, it's not black and white. See? Like, it's so pretty. And, like, I love how the panels, like, it's not just, like, square panel, like traditional stuff. It's, like, it's a little more organic. Like, you know, I want to show you an example, but it's kind of hard to do that without, you know, like, showing you a spoiler by accident. But, like, I love how the panels, like, it seems like there's no two panels or pages that are laid out the same. And that's just very interesting, like, visually interesting. And it really does convey that this is not just a book, this is a work of art. And props to the artist and the writer. She did so well. Also, the covers are just so cute. So the next is The Rule Book by Sarah Adams. I really enjoyed this a lot. It's about a woman who is a sports agent who has to represent her ex, who is a football player when his career is kind of lagging a little bit. And I normally don't like second chance romance, but I really liked this one. I did think them kind of like avoiding the relationship and avoiding their feelings was like dragging along a little bit. Like, the main male character was a little too self-deprecating and all that. It was just a little too much, but it was still a good read. This really like made me want to revisit the cheat sheet, because this is like not like a second in the series, but like sort of like interconnected novel, I guess, because the characters from the cheat sheet are in this a fair amount. And my main issue with the cheat sheet, which is the whole reason I DNF'd it, like I hard DNF'd it, like I was like, I'm never going back to this, was because the female main character annoyed me so much within the first like 3 chapters that I just couldn't look past it, and I had to put the book down. But she's in this one and she's not that bad. So I was like, okay, maybe I just need to give it a little more time. I feel like 3 chapters should be enough, but you know, whatever. So I went ahead and got the cheat sheet from my library again, and I'm going to give it another shot once I'm done with Onyx Storm. Next is the Break-up Pact by Emma Lord. I really like this one. I mean, it's kind of hard for me to say no to a fake dating trope, but I really like this one a lot. This is like a weird problem for me, which I recognize this is not probably normal for most people, but I really don't like it when they make the main female character a baker. I don't know why. It just throws the vibes off for me. And it's not just because of like I don't personally like baking, because there's a lot of things I don't like doing and I don't mind reading about. Like, I don't mind reading the Allie Hazelwood books, and I hate science. Like, science was not my subject in school, but I like those, even though most of the main female characters are in some kind of STEM field, I think. Or at least most of the ones I've read anyway. And then, of course, I'm not a vampire, and I love vampire books. So it's not the problem. I don't know what it is. It's just generally how they have the female character act when she's a baker, I guess. I'm not really sure. I can't really put my finger on the problem. But anyway, she's a baker in this one, and it's not annoying to me. Maybe because of how it's like done, in that it's kind of more of like it's her late sister's thing. It's not necessarily her thing, and she's trying to make it her thing, and that's her whole like story arc. is grieving her sister and trying to make her sister's dream come true with the bakery while also trying to make it her own and everything like that, which was beautifully done, by the way. So I think maybe that was why it was okay and didn't irritate me so much. But yeah, I did really enjoy that. There were a few things that I thought were a little weird. Like one of the main things, and there's her ex-boyfriend is on some kind of reality TV show about like business stuff. I don't know, it's not really gone into very much. And it's never explained why he's on that show. Like, why was he picked for that show? Why is he on there? What's the show do? Like, I feel like that should have been gone into a little bit, you know? Because like in the book, it talks about how when they were together right before, like they broke up, like, cause he broke up with her while he was like right after the show ended or something. So up until that point, it's talking about how they did nothing but travel. They were never home. They traveled constantly. It's like, okay, how is he on a business savvy, like reality TV show if he didn't seem like he worked? It was very weird. That's one of the things that just really confused me in this. But otherwise, I really liked it. So the story of this is that June is in a small town running a bakery that her late sister had left her. Because I think her sister passed away 2 years before the book starts, and she's trying to make this bakery work, and it's not working. It's failing. Might have to close, and she's really upset about it because she's still grieving her sister, and she's also starting to have to grieve maybe losing her sister's dream of running this bakery in their hometown. And then one of her old friends from high school comes back after having a really big breakup with like his celebrity girlfriend and everything like that. Around the same time that June also has a very public breakup with her boyfriend who was on a reality TV show, and he cheated on her with like one of the contestants or something. And they both have gone viral from their breakups. And then they decide to start fake dating each other because of some kind of misunderstanding that happened with some paparazzi, to try and help her bakery do better and also help Levi, the main male character, I guess get over his girlfriend. I don't know. It's honestly not super clear what his motivations are because I feel like there are better ways to do that, but whatever. And it's just, you know, them going through all the motions of pretending to date while like doing this as publicity stunt kind of thing. So they have like a friend of hers that's like a photographer following them around, who also like writes for a fake BuzzFeed, essentially is what it seems like. I think this might have been written before, back when BuzzFeed was like a bigger deal, because this was clearly supposed to be BuzzFeed. But as I was reading this, I realized I'm not sure the last time I saw anything from BuzzFeed online. I'm not sure they're still a thing. And if they are, they're not near as big as they used to be, at least. Because I used to like, you could not get away from BuzzFeed articles, BuzzFeed videos, BuzzFeed anything. And I'm like, then I realized, well, yeah, I haven't seen any of that stuff in a while. So maybe like, I think it's still around. I just think it's not near as big. So I think this was written back when they were still like a really big thing, I think maybe. As you can tell from me like going all over the place trying to describe this, there's quite a lot of plot going on. There's quite a lot of different storylines and different little things going on. So it really didn't need the third act breakup, though with a book called The Break-up Pact, I was kind of seeing it coming. Also, fake dating tropes nearly almost always have a third act breakup, you know, but like it's usually like them transitioning from being fake to being real, usually is what the third act breakup is usually for. So sometimes I'll forgive it in a in a fake dating kind of situation, because if I understand like that would probably be how that would work if that were real. But let's be honest, most fake dating tropes they're not very realistic. But anyway, but honestly, there was so much stuff going on, other conflict and other story arcs and things like going on. Like I feel like it really wasn't necessary to add a third act breakup. I think they may have been able to transition a little better. But oh well, it was still a pretty good read. So now I'm done with all the physical books that I read. Now I'm going on to all the books I read on my e-reader, on my Kindle, because one of my New Year's resolutions was to read more on my Kindle, and I definitely did that this month. So the first one is Fear the Flames. I liked this a lot. Like originally I rated this 5 stars because I absolutely loved it. Devoured it up like home cooking for my grandma. Just absolutely loved it. Just ate it up. However, like after I sat down and really thought about it after reading it, I was like, oh, that was just like, it was basically just a cliche romantasy novel. That's basically what it was. And like, yeah, it was cliche, and yeah, it was very predictable. But those are cliches, and they're predictable because they happen so much, because they're used so much in other books, because they're good. And so it's like, as much as I like this one, I feel like I could have read this exact same book from someone else. Does that make sense? Like, I feel like this could have been just about any other romantic novel. However, I'm going to read the second book the moment it comes out. So the story of this one is that there's a princess of a nation who's gifted some eggs from like another nation or whatever, some dragon eggs, and they actually hatch and they become bonded to her, and it freaks out her dad a little bit. And so after a while, he imprisons her. It's very over the top, by the way. Just a warning, so it's very over the top. So he imprisons her and tortures her until she's like a teenager, and she gets broken out by like one of her guards or something, and they go live somewhere nice and peaceful, all like, you know, like Sleeping Beauty or something. And then there's like a bunch of unrest or whatever in her home nation, and there's also like she's running out of supplies in the little village that or town or whatever. It's not really clear, honestly, what kind of situation it is that she has founded. And the only way to solve that problem is to team up with the leader of, I guess, the army or something in some other in the enemy of her home country. So, and that's the main male character, as you can. It's pretty predictable. And so she goes and they break her dragons out and fall in love, all that fun stuff. It is very predictable. It is very cliche, but it is fun. So 4.5 stars. So next is Graveyard Shift. So what I normally read is something more along the line of like romance, like contemporary romance, fantasy romance, paranormal romance, romantasy. You get it. I've been kind of wanting to branch out a little bit more because I have been reading a few like murder mystery novels and I've really enjoyed them. And so I kind of wanted to branch out and get a little even further away from my normal comfort zone. And I thought this was a really good safe bet because I got it from the library, so no cost or anything. And then on top of that, it's like, I think it's like less than 200 pages. So it's not much of a time sink either. And I would say I'm really glad that I did it that way because I ended up not liking it. But also I'm like, maybe it just wasn't the right book, and maybe there's another book out there that's longer that I would have liked. I'm not sure. But I really didn't like this one very much. So the story is it's a group of people who all meet in this abandoned graveyard at night to smoke because of all the places around them. They can't smoke nearby, and so this is like the only place where they can really go to smoke. And then one night they're all there and there is a freshly dug grave, and so the mystery is they gotta figure it out and all the other stuff. And the ending's kind of anticlimactic. It's too short to flesh out a lot of stuff. It's just, and the characters aren't really likable. One of the reviews I read said it was like, oh, it's like Scooby-Doo and with like a really bad ending or something. I'm like, well, I wouldn't say it's like Scooby-Doo. I think they may have tried for something like the Scooby-Doo gang, the group that doesn't seem like they really fit together. Like, be honest, like in the real world, I don't think Fred would have been friends with Shaggy or anything like that, or Velma for all that, you know? So it's like a hodgepodge mix of people, everything like that. I think maybe the author was going for Scooby-Doo, like kind of like feel. Because it definitely made a big point to point out how different they all were in the beginning. But I think they ended up getting more closer to like the Velma show, which, as some of y'all may know, was not well received. It's just like, it was like the Scooby-Doo gang, but like the characters are older. They're not likable, and they smoke a lot. It's one of the things I read somewhere. I've not seen a whole lot of the Velma show. I've only seen one episode, and that's all it took for me to know this was not for me. And no, the characters were just incredibly just too unlikable for me to want to continue. And that's kind of how this book was. The only thing was, like, it was so short that I kept telling myself, I was like, oh, I don't need a DNF. It's just a little bit longer. It's just a little bit more. It's just a few more pages, which is like one of the reasons why like I went ahead and finished the book despite really not enjoying it. Was I was like, well, it's such a short book, I might as well finish it. And so I did. And I kind of wish I hadn't and just went on to my next book. And now I'm going into all the ARCs that I've gotten. Because I started using Netgalley this month, and I've got approved for quite a few books pretty fast. So the first one is Misbooked For Love, which I've already gone over pretty in detail in my reading arcs for 24 hours video, which I will link up above and down below if you want to check that out, just to get a more detailed review and also like a read along with it. But it was a really nice little novella to read for Valentine's Day. So I definitely advise picking that up because it really gave like the cheesy holiday Hallmark movie vibes, which is really something you want when you're reading like a little novella like for a holiday. Next is the audiobook that I got, 24 Hours in the Viking World. I really like that one a lot. It's nonfiction, obviously, but it's done in a way where it feels sort of like a fiction book. So if you really want to read nonfiction, but you have a hard time with the way it's usually presented, I really advise this series because it's part of a series. They have Ancient China, which is one I want to get next. And then they have Ancient Egypt and Ancient Rome. I think they might have one more, I can't remember. I definitely want to get into the Ancient China one because that one's really interesting. And I don't really know much about Chinese history, so that would be really exciting. So how it's done is every chapter is a different hour in the day in the Viking world, and it usually revolves around a different person each time. And so you get a very a varied idea or picture of the world, and it's done really well. Also, the narrator's voice is really nice and relaxing and calm and done really nice. So I really enjoyed that. And so I really am thankful to NetGalley for this one. And next is Home Office Romance, which is a manga that I also got from NetGalley. This one was really sweet. So the story of this one is that it's about the main character is this man who lives in Japan, and it's during the pandemic and he's having to work from home, and so he's building up his home office, making it something that makes him feel good, that he really wants to be in. And then he starts actually communicating with his neighbor, who is a woman who's also having to work from home now. She's a student and she's having to study and do all her classes online. And then the story is them falling in love and everything like that, getting to know each other. And it's just really sweet and it's adorable. The story is told in as him, like he's sort of telling the story of how he met his wife. And so you know they're going to get together at the end, which really doesn't take away from the story. It's still just so sweet. And you know they're going to end up at the end, so there's no stress or pressure, whatever. It's just a really nice, sweet story of a guy who meets a woman and they fall in love, and all the stress of him trying to make it work when he realizes, oh, I really like her, I want her in my life. And it's really sweet. And it's done by the same mangaka who does, I can't remember the name of the series. It's really popular because I haven't read that one. I'm going to put it here on the screen. Because I know what the cover looks like. I know it. I just can't remember the name of it on top of my head. So it's this one. It has something to do with soap. But I know that one's fairly popular. And it's done by the same person. And the artwork is very similar. One of the other things that I did like about this manga that I did read was that it's just one. It's one contained story in one shot little manga. And I really appreciate that. As someone who, it gets a bit much. Like, how many volumes of One Piece is there? You know? Because like after a while, it's impossible for you to read the entire story. Not only because like the time it would take, but also like, I'm sorry, I don't have the space to have 100 copies of a manga for one story. Like that's just too much money, that's too much space, too much time. And also like they have to break up the story to keep it pacing for so long that sometimes like you read one whole book and you feel like you've read maybe half a chapter of like a traditional novel, like when it comes to content. And it's a bit much. So it was nice that it was all contained in just one volume. So last but not least, well, actually it is kind of least, is the first DNF of the year, and that is A Grim Reaper's Guide to Catching a Killer. This is a good example of don't judge a book by its cover, or at least for me anyway. Like, this cover is so cute. I absolutely love it. Did not love the content behind the cover. I was bored. I didn't really care about the characters a whole lot. So eventually I just DNF'd it after a couple chapters because I was like, life's too short to be reading something I'm not enjoying. So one of my main issues with this was, well, other than it kind of being kind of boring, was that I feel like the world was not explained near enough, soon enough. So Kathy is a Grim Reaper, which is apparently just a job you can just have. And she goes to reap a soul and he's just not there. And then a whole lot of crazy stuff happens and she has to figure out who murdered him, if he was murdered, all that other stuff. And it was just kind of confusing because I was just like, so is this like a fantasy world, or is this like supposed to be like our world that just happens to be this way, or what's going on here? Her job wasn't explained very well. Like, how does this work? Can I apply, like, in their world, can you apply to be a Grim Reaper, like on Indeed? Is this like, are they some kind of special kind of human or something where, like, sort of like how I think it's how it works in like Supernatural or something, where you are born as a Grim Reaper. It's not like a job or so much, really. I'm not sure. It wasn't, maybe they would explain it later on after the point where I had already DNF'd it. But honestly, by that point, I feel like they should have explained it. Like, honestly, I think that sort of thing should have been explained, like, in the first chapter, maybe second chapter or anything. And it wasn't. Or at least not enough. Like, it was explained a smidge, I guess. Like, her job is explained because of, like, she goes into work and has to explain to her boss, hey, yo, dog, the ghost wasn't there, kind of thing. But, like, it really wasn't gone into enough, I think. And then my other issue was, it was just kind of boring. And I feel like if you're trying to find a murderer, I feel like that shouldn't be boring. You know? Controversial opinion here. But, yeah, that seems like a fast-paced action kind of plot. And it just really wasn't. And not to mention, I didn't really care about the characters a whole lot. Maybe I would have gotten to care if I had read a little bit more, but honestly, I feel like I should start caring before, like, wherever the point was where I'd stopped reading. I think I stopped reading it I made it pretty far. Okay, I made it like chapter 8 or something. So I made it pretty far. I feel like I should care about the character before that. But, yes, that's why I DNF'd it. I can see someone else enjoying this book. I cannot see anyone giving this a 5-star. I would not understand that at all. But I can see someone at least enjoying it. If you read any of the books that I also read and you also enjoyed them, or if you didn't enjoy them and you want to talk about it, please comment down below. And if you read the book that I DNF'd and you want to make a case for me to read it again, feel free to put that in the comments down below. I'm open to, rereading it. I have it from the library and I still have it for quite a while. So I can be talked into giving it another shot. But if you like this video and want to see more like it, please hit that subscribe button. And also, just in general, like and comment videos because, that helps the whole algorithm push my stuff out more. And so I will see you in the next one. Bye!